So something I've been meaning to talk about for a while now is, you know, people always talking about the fact that, the job market is so full, it's so hard to find a job. And I see it commonly within our Gen Z generation that, you know, people are struggling to find jobs. And today here we're going to discuss how you can make it easier to find yourself a job, right? And I'm not gonna lie, I do agree with the fact that the job market, the labor force is very much inflated, and it is a lot harder to find a job than it used to be, right? Even finding internships nowadays for like us is pretty hard. Um, I work three jobs, so I kind of know the sauce to getting a job, but yeah, I'll let you start. What do you think, Sahan, about the labor force? And yeah.
Um, I think it's a lot of it's really complicated to really give one clear answer on what's affecting the labor force right now. You can talk about how inflation's pretty bad overall worldwide, and how much just competition there is these days. I don't honestly have one answer for it. I just know that in general, it's super hard to get a job, regardless of fields. Personally, I'm more into the computer science field myself. That's kind of what I'm studying in school right now, and I think it's at this point, it's pretty obvious that that industry has been heavily affected by the fact that there's pretty pretty steep competition, but also a lot of applicants, and it's so common these days to see someone that's graduated and finds it's struggling for months to try and find a job. And it seems like companies are they say they're hiring, but it almost seems like they're not hiring anybody.
Mhm.
And I think that I don't know if it's a lot of factors. I mean, for Canada specifically, I know that we had an influx of immigration in the last couple of years, and I know that's kind of really impacted the job market
Mm.
quite a bit, because you have a lot of people who unfortunately they've come to this country looking for a better life, and the system was kind of easy. It was good for them to actually come here, but they didn't have a solid foundation
Yeah.
to come here, and
Yeah.
that kind of caused a lot of applicants that are kind of clogging up the systems. That makes it harder. I wouldn't say because I don't want to say it's a divide between us and them. At the end of the day, we're all human, right? But I mean, it's a lot of factors plaguing the job market, and I think that's just my opinion. I think there's a lot of people. The economy's bad, and inflation's high. I think
Yeah,
those are
for
pretty
sure.
key factors in why the job market's.
Okay, so I'm gonna list a few things that I think are the cause of the job market being so difficult. And feel free to add on if you have your own opinions, or you could add on anything. So I'm gonna start with the increase in population, especially in Canada. I feel like the population's increased vastly over the past couple of years. Um, like mostly due to the immigration, but the higher the population you have, it's kind of like an exponential increase, right? Like the more population you have over time, exponentially, it's going to increase, right? So again, I think there should be some government regulation on that. So that's my first thing. AI is another thing. AI is taking over a lot of the jobs nowadays, and again, people might complain, but if you look at it from a business perspective, I think it makes total sense for AI to be taking over jobs nowadays as well. Like if you see kiosks and whatever, I'm sure there was the idea of reverting some kiosks in other areas as well,
Yeah,
which we could
yeah,
get into at a later point. But my point is that AI is a lot faster than humans, right? And a lot more efficient than humans. And as it develops, it's going to become harder and harder for us to find jobs and to make money. However, there are those jobs that don't require AI, and there's certain things that people have that AI doesn't, right? So for example, personalized communication is one of them. Emotions is another big thing. So like if you were to look at a restaurant, for example, right? You're rarely going to see AI in a restaurant, besides I know they're incorporating like the robot serving and stuff like that, but as of now it's not that common. So I'd say that's one of the better areas to look into. I know they're also trying to revert self kiosk systems in grocery stores, correct?
Yeah.
It was the grocery stores.
Yeah.
And that's another place you could look at because, again, if you go to a grocery store, for example, Walmart, one of the bigger ones in Canada, they do have kiosk running most of the transactions there. And again, it takes away that personal, sort of value. So I think what grocery stores are trying to do is to bring back that personal value when they're taking away the kiosk system. So yeah, AI, again, it's taking over a lot, but there's also, some leftover stuff that you could look into, right? I would say don't bother trying to apply to somewhere where you know that AI is going to take over and where you know that your jobs could be cut, right? So for example, one of the recent places are the news lines, right? So media, for example, like even American ones, New York Times, they Bell Media as well as big scandal over it a couple months ago. They lost a lot of jobs too, and I feel like when you're gonna apply to a job, make sure you don't apply to a job where you don't see a long-term future ahead, because again, if you lose your job, there's no guarantee that you'll find another one right away, right? So try to keep your job for as long as possible. Look for open job postings. One of the biggest things, which I have to say has helped me a lot, is LinkedIn, right? Do you want to talk about LinkedIn for a bit? I know.
Yeah. So, to be fair, I actually don't have much experience with LinkedIn as much as you do, but you know what? I'm gonna sidetrack a little bit. It's so fun. Actually, you know what? No, I'll bring this up. I think after we had this talk about the job market. But yeah, I think LinkedIn is a tool that I think I can't even say that people don't utilize it anymore, because I think people do quite a bit. Yeah. But I think people nowadays, I think a lot of people still kind of forget how important LinkedIn is, especially for jobs that are competitive, like that require some level of like expertise, skill set in a particular field, whether it's like engineering, business, anything with comp sci, software engineering related, even engineering roles in general. You need LinkedIn, like you need it, just because if you want to apply to a company that's that you want to work at, has competitive salary, has benefits and whatnot, more oftentimes they get thousands of applicants as soon as the job gets posted. And the only way you can stand out, honestly, is the hiring manager or the HR, whoever is running that process, knows who you are. And oftentimes you're not going to know the actual hiring manager at that company. Like you almost won't. And the only way you can actually get to know that person is through LinkedIn. So even though my personal opinion is that honestly, I kind of find LinkedIn to be kind of tiring, because honestly, that site to me is honestly like a whole, like it's a site where everyone just like boosts everyone's egos, like you're just posting everything you're doing. You're kind of like not glazing, but like you're kind of like putting your achievements in a really good light. It's all you talk about. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I think that's all the site comes down to, is just.
So sorry, I'm going to cut you off there, right? So here's my take on it, right? When you post your achievements, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Let me explain why. When you apply to a job and you're given your resume, are you writing bad stuff about yourself on that resume?
Yeah, no, you're not.
Right? What employers are going to see every single time is the good things you do, right? And on a resume, you only have a page to put in, all this information. But if you were to stack up your LinkedIn, an employer could look at that and be like, yo, he's worked 6 jobs here, whatever. He's volunteered here. He's done this, he's done that, right? And I'm gonna keep this short and sweet before we move on to the next topic or whatever you wanted to diverge into. If you are struggling to find a job, hop on LinkedIn, right? And I'm going to explain what you need to do to, like, this is my best piece of advice to find a job through LinkedIn, okay? Whatever job you want, search it up on LinkedIn, and there's going to be certain, people who work under those careers, right? So for example, let's say marketing, for example, you want to become a retailer, right? What you could do is you could hop on that LinkedIn search page, obviously create like your bio, do all that basic stuff. Hop on that page, right? Search up retail hiring, right? It's going to show you the job postings. Search up retailers. It's going to show you a bunch of retailers, and you could look locally in your area as well, right? So for example, if you look at Toronto, right, and you search up retailers Toronto, it's going to show you hundreds of people who are on LinkedIn who are retailers in Toronto. And what you got to do, connect with them. Just spam connect with every single one, right? Sure, not all of them are going to respond. Not all of them are going to accept your thing. Not all of them are going to be on LinkedIn, right? But the fact that you're connecting with 100 people, you're bound to get at least 10, right? At least 10. And from that 10, if you're to message every single one of them, right, and be like, hey, I think that what you're doing is really cool and I'm really interested in retail, right? And I was wondering if we could chat for 10, 15 minutes. You could teach me about what you do and I could ask you some questions to gain my learning. Boom, you're in, right? Even if 1 out of the 10 people respond, that's a step forward, right? Because you're making a new connection, right? And through that connection, you could broaden your horizons. You could connect with other people who work with that one person. And then when you were to apply to a retail job, let's say you applied to like Honda, right? So you're selling cars for Honda and you have that connection within that Honda field. It makes getting the job 10 times easier, makes getting the interview 10 times easier, because I feel like nowadays, even interviews are difficult to get, right? So if you get to that interview stage, practice, practice, practice. And then hopefully you could get to that next stage. If it doesn't, just try again, keep trying until you get to that point. But that's my take on LinkedIn and why I think it's helped me a lot.
So yeah, I want to just I'll echo some of your thoughts on how, even though I haven't really used LinkedIn in that manner yet, but I do know that one of the tips I've seen honestly is that you should use your university. So assuming you went to university, you can use that to your advantage in the sense of LinkedIn, where for example, so I'll talk about if you want to be a software engineer, right? You're a software engineer or you want to be one, and let's say you went to school for comp sci or anything related to that field where you can get into that field in the industry. You go on LinkedIn, you look up that role, like you just said. But you can also, I think you can filter based on the university, right?
Yes.
You can build up your university, and you can find hiring managers, right? Or people in HR that are like, and then you just try to match up, like that, like the role you want to the hiring manager that also goes to your school. And then the way in is that the fact that you guys both have a similar university, the same university. And that ultimately, again, like you just said, chances are they probably won't respond to you, probably won't accept to connect with you. But in the event that they do and they decide to connect with you, you can always say like, hey, like let's say, assuming that they're in your area, you can just ask them for coffee, have a chat. Honestly, I find that maybe you can agree with this or not. I think that meeting up in person nowadays, I think for a lot of things, online Zoom meetings are very efficient, like meetings and whatnot, they're very efficient. But when you want to because the point is, when you're a prospective employee, like you want to get a job somewhere, you want to do all you can to make sure that you look good for the hiring managers, right? So instead of saying, because they might say, oh, you want to hop on Zoom, or you want be like, hey, let's sip some coffee,
ask them where their office is, for example. You could be like, oh, is it okay if on your lunch break, we could grab a coffee? I'll come closer to you. You gotta make that effort to stand out, right? And even the smallest things make a big difference. And go on, sorry.
Yeah. So ultimately for me, I think you really want to go ask them to link up. Coffee's the best one, because coffee is like the most casual. You can always talk about stuff. Go to a cafe, a nice shop, and just introduce yourself. And honestly, for me, my advice is I don't even think you'd want to talk too deeply about the job itself. Like if you just say, hey, I noticed you're a hiring manager of this company. I want the job. Like, they're not going to hire you.
Yeah, exactly.
What you want to do is impress the hiring manager, and it could be anything other than the job, or maybe you can talk about
it could. This is my kind of take on it, right? I think what it should be is what you want to learn, right? And what you're willing to, what you want to develop, right? So for example, let's say I have a coffee chat with someone. One of the questions I could ask, let's say they're like a leader or like a manager. I could be like, how do you use your leadership skills to motivate your team, right? And that's not a question that's like, oh, I want the job, right? Like, can you hire me? It's more like I'm interested in what you're doing, right? Like, tell me about it type question. And I think that's what gets the hiring managers more comfortable with you. And it also gets them, a lot more like, it leaves a better impression, right? Because it's not like I want the job. It's more like I'm interested in the job, right? Like wanting and being interested in is very different, right? If you show that you're interested, even without saying it, I'm pretty sure a hiring manager could tell. If you're going to coffee chat someone, right? Obviously, the end goal is either to gain something like gain information and knowledge, or to, get that opportunity to get that interview for the job. But yeah, keep going.
Yeah, and that, like, having that discussion where, like you just said, it's really important. You can always ask about, like, their what they like. Honestly, like, this it's like, for me, a lot of people are in self-help and they like to read audiobooks, or not listen, sorry, read, listen to audiobooks, and just, get more information. I think one of the most underrated things that people have overlooked is your soft skills. Ultimately, I think your soft skills may make the difference between you and the other candidates, because in a weird sense, everyone kind of has the same hard skills, right? If you're applying to like a software engineering role, chances are maybe you're not the best programmer. Like, let's say 1,000 people apply, maybe you're like the top, maybe you're like not the best programmer out of that bunch, but you know how to, you know how to leak code, you know how to do certain things, right? You know how to you know your way around the programming interface, right? But you're able to actually have a nice conversation with the hiring manager, be able to chat about things unrelated to comp sci, but maybe a bit related to comp sci, and just have a nice chat and get to know that person. And also, I think questions that really drive home that you're like a really, you're a good employee, you're ready to learn, right? Is you ask the manager about themselves, and you ask them, like, listen, what are some things that you do? And like, you ask a question like, what are some things that you would tell yourself 5 years earlier, 10 years earlier, when you were, like my age and where you are now? Like, would you do anything differently? Like, do you have like that's questions where they're not unique, but they are questions where a lot of people won't ask that question. Because again, everyone comes in, because when you're making connections, everyone tries to make connections to better, like, just to for their own improvement. They want to benefit themselves. Whereas in the actual art of making connections, you're supposed to first provide value to the other person, especially when that person that you want to connect with in the sphere of where you're connecting. So for example, now for a job, right? That person has the power in that sense, where that person has what you want, right? That person has what you want and you want to connect with them. You have to make sure that you provide value to them first. That doesn't have to be like, oh, I'll work for you for free. It just means that you make them feel like, oh, this person's here to learn, and they seem like they're interested in not just the job, but they're actually an employee that we'd love to hire, because they have qualities like being open to learn, always having a positive mindset. Those are qualities that I think actual employers want to have, not just like someone that knows how to do the job the best and they have the best skill sets. It's kind of how to sell yourself. I think that's an art that I think a lot of people don't have.
Yeah.
And that might make making the job harder. But the problem is, you're right, getting to the interviews, getting that stage is already a challenge of itself, right? Because a couple years back, right, getting the stage of like talking to a hiring manager wasn't that difficult. It was hard, but it wasn't that hard, right? Now it's like almost impossible to get in touch with a hiring manager, because they probably have 100 applicants, even 100 connections that people want to talk to them all the time, right? So it's tough.
And okay, I'm just gonna go back a step, right? I'm gonna talk about why in person right now is better than through Zoom or via online. I think if you were to look at it, right now, I think a lot of the hiring managers are millennials or older, right? Again, Gen Z is slowly, getting into that position, but again, majority, I'd say probably 95% is millennial or older, right? And when you talk to all these millennials, they're always like technology's killing the world. Not like, they talk about how technology is bad for the world, whatever, it's evolving at a fast rate, and how everything back then was a lot more personalized. Everything back then was a lot more face to face. And I think the fact that you're coffee chatting them in person over versus Zoom, it kind of leaves a better impression, because these managers can see you face to face. They could see your body language, right? They could see all your different tendencies, all these different things, your emotions, all these things show in person that don't show online, which just makes, you as a person stand out more. And again, you might have not done a coffee chat before, and I'm saying try it out, right? Because even if you don't do well on your first coffee chat, it's an experience, right? You do bad on one, you do good on the next. You do bad on two, you do good on the next, right? Like, you should always go with that mentality that no matter what, you're gaining something. You're never going to lose something by having a coffee chat, because you're gaining that experience. And I think nowadays too, it's a lot harder for people to have that one-on-one conversation, But I think what people have to realize is like, you gotta, again, what we were talking about in the other podcast, you gotta put yourself through fear in order to grow, right? Like fear is what helps you grow.
Yeah, that's a super life lesson that people should want to hear is like getting comfortable being comfortable. People apply it to like physical endurance and getting in shape and whatnot. And that's applicable too. But in the real world, right? And it comes to like, like your actual life, a lot of it's coming down to like, you'll never progress in any field that you want to do, whether it's you want to be a better musician, you want to be a better husband, a better wife, a better sibling, whatever it is you want to do, right? You have to be able to do stuff that you couldn't do before, because that's the definition of being better than you were yesterday. And that's like, let's say for example, I have trouble public speaking, a skill a lot of people lack, and rightfully so. It's scary to talk in front of like thousands of people and whatnot.
Exactly.
The only way you get better at it is by doing it, right?
Exactly.
You're not gonna like. Here's the thing: practice. People look at practice in the context of like sports and whatnot, right? But people neglect that practice exists everywhere else outside of just sports too. You have to practice in getting better at finding a job. You have to be even at a job. Let's say you're doing stuff. Your practice is while you're doing the job itself as well, right? If it's like if you're an accountant or whatnot, right? You're always doing stuff that mirrors what you're supposed to be doing on a day-to-day basis, right? And if it's something that you want to become, right, you're never going to be able to get there unless you actually put yourself in that position. Sure. So a lot of you might think, okay, I lack social skills. I lack, I'm too nervous, right? You know what? Everyone starts somewhere. Maybe some of us are better equipped at handling social situations than others. But the only way you can actually improve on that, right? And even if you're an introvert or whatnot, is to actually get out there, right?
Exactly.
Get out there, get uncomfortable, right? Problem is you'll survive. Like even if you get embarrassed, even if you might say an embarrassing thing, let's say the person laughs at you, well, that might be hard to move forward from. But at the end of the day, you're always going to survive that situation, right? And every single interaction you have with someone else after that will get better and better because you learn from your mistakes, you went wrong, and you know exactly what not to say and what to say to that person. So like that's why I think in terms of our overall topic is the job market. Those skills to me, soft skills, getting comfortable, being comfortable, right? Practicing your reps in social situations. Honestly, another key component could be in a weird way, like talking to strangers in public is a great way to get that fear out of your head, right? So that can just be like if you're on the subway, if you're on the train, on the bus, if you're walking in a grocery store, wherever you are, maybe in your heads go like, okay, well, on a day like today, maybe I'm going to work, right? I'm going to stop by Starbucks or Tim Hortons on my way to work. I'm going to make it my mission to talk to at least one person in this spot and have it so that throughout your whole day, you make it so you want to talk to three people that are strangers and you want to have an actual conversation. Yeah. If they if they give you signals, they don't talk to you, that's still fine. You want to know what? Because
listen, 1 minute later, everyone's going to forget about it.
Yeah, right? Literally.
Like nobody's going to look at you after you talk to them and be like, like, why are you talking to me? Well, maybe they will, right? But then you leave that place, you're not going to see that person again, right? If anything, you gain something because you put yourself in an uncomfortable position, right? And now the next time you do it, you're going to be more comfortable in, going up to someone. And I want to use an analogy that's more close to home for a lot of us, right? A big one is presenting, right? And one of the things for me is like, sure, you could practice 1 million times presenting, but that nerve that you get right before you go is going to be there always, right? Like, again, practicing might help that nerve decrease, but even me, right? I think that right now I've worked on my presentation skills a lot. I've worked on my talking skills a lot, and I can talk in front of a lot of people, but I think that I still get that nerve even though I've made myself comfortable with it. But the fact that I get that nerve, I feel like is a good thing, right? If I'm getting that nerve, that means that I just have a bigger opportunity to grow, right? The point where you lose all nerves is when you're like you're great, you're well off, because that's the point where you kind of presented and have done something so much that's made you uncomfortable that now you're comfortable with it, right? And now you move on, find something else that makes you uncomfortable. And again, a big one with the concept we're talking about, jobs, is that a lot of us don't know, right? A lot of us haven't put ourselves out there, and we don't really know how to talk to strangers as well as older generations might have, because again, technology's taken over our world. A lot of our conversations now are online based. For example, games are huge nowadays, right? When you play games, you're on a voice call, or if you're talking to your friends, you're phone calling them. You're not with them one on one, right? And I think it makes the personalization level a lot lower for us. And I also think that that also means that people got to understand that in order to like to reimburse, I guess I can't really think of the word for it, but like sort of increase your awareness and increase your comfortability with being with someone in that one-on-one perspective, you're gonna have to put yourself through millions of uncomfortable situations where you could actually grow from that.
Yeah, like inevitably you want to be able to be comfortable with doing those stuff. And I mean, even I get nervous too talking to people that I even know. Sometimes, like, let's say meet someone that I haven't met in a while, a few months. I haven't talked to someone I haven't talked to in a while. I get nervous seeing them because I'm like, even though I know them, because I'm like, I don't know how to talk to them. But
Exactly.
but when you finally interact with that person, right? My advice is that's the one thing I will say, that I can give one piece of advice for any social situation. Honestly, just stop thinking. Like literally, like it might sound counterintuitive, but when you stop thinking and you just go with the flow of the conversation and you just say whatever you want, obviously in discretion, because you don't want to say something too weird, right?
Yeah, out of line. Right?
And yeah, but that, again, you might do that at the start, right? But you learn over time, and this is more geared towards people who are like super socially inept, right? You'll learn over time what you can and can't say, like, and you'll kind of realize based on the reactions of whoever you're talking to, group or whatnot. But you want to be able to do that over and over again. And when you stop thinking and you just talk, like you like when you're just talking to someone, right, one on one, no matter if it's your mom, like, well, actually, if it's someone that you know you're close to, I think it's a bit different. But if it's a stranger, right, just like if they say something back, just whatever comes to mind that you think might help, just say it. Even if it's kind of weird, maybe you think they didn't take it too well, just say it. And oftentimes you'll find that that is what actually leads to a long conversation. And whether that's, a job, whether it's, a friend, or whether it's dating somebody, which brings me to what I was going to say about LinkedIn, which is I've heard that these days that LinkedIn is just a glorified dating site for professionals. So what are your thoughts on that?
I don't like what do you mean? Like people are sliding in people's
Yes,
DMs?
like people are connecting with other people for the sole purpose of just sliding.
And where did you see this?
Like literally, it's all over social media. It's like everyone's like LinkedIn is just Tinder, but like for like professionals.
Professionals?
Yeah, professional Tinder.
You know what? I could see it, right?
I mean, it's the perfect site for it.
And let me explain
honest.
why. Because everyone's open to talk on LinkedIn. A lot of people are more open to respond to your texts. Like you could shoot like a dry message, or sorry, what's it called? A random message, right? To a random person, and they could respond to you just because, you could literally be like, hey, like I'm interested in what you're doing, right? Whatnot. And they're gonna respond to you. I don't know about like sliding in with pickup lines to a random person.
No, I think what happens is, right? So if because here's the thing, right? It's hard to date nowadays. We've talked about this a million times before, right? So you're a young 20-year-old person, like you're in your 20s, right? You're in a company, you're making good money, but you have yet to find a girlfriend or a boyfriend if you're or whatever you want. You've yet to find a partner that you want to be with, and you're like, you know what? Hinge isn't working. Tinder isn't working.
Let me hop on LinkedIn.
Yeah, like no. You just go on LinkedIn, right? And you're like, wait a second, like the girl that or man or whoever I want that's on LinkedIn, the partner that I want on LinkedIn might be someone that I'm actually interested in being with, because they probably share the same interests as me. They're in the same company as me or the same field as me. Or it doesn't even have to be any of those things. They're just someone that's a professional that takes their career seriously. And that's why they're on LinkedIn. And oftentimes that works out because they'll connect with someone, right? They'll like maybe make plans to like meet up and like have a conversation, and then boom, you're dating that person now.
And I'm not gonna lie, like I could kind of see why LinkedIn could be a good platform for dating, because again, we talked about that filtered search, right? And you could literally filter out like exactly what you want, and LinkedIn will give it to you, which is why I could see it. again, I've never seen it in that way. I've seen it more in like that, professional to find connections for jobs or things I'm interested in type B. But I could fully see what you're talking about. And again, it's crazy, and I see it, But the one thing is, right, like you can't really see relationship status.
Yeah,
Right.
you can't. But I think that just comes with. I think that's why no one's really sliding in like you're like a demon, like where you're like, okay, yo, I think you're fine. Let's
Yeah.
go. I
Yeah,
think it's
yeah.
more like they kind of slide in like properly, like more
Yeah,
formally,
professionally, yeah.
and then if they end up meeting up, right? Like you can assume if you're a guy and a girl, so I'll talk like heterosexually, guy and a girl. Let's say they decide to meet up over LinkedIn, like okay, let's just grab some coffee and chat. Chances are both of them are single, right? Because if they weren't single, then like that's kind of weird, right?
Here's my logic on it though. If there's a hiring manager, I was a woman.
Oh no, I don't mean that. I mean like just two regular, just like people like that are like
Okay, I see.
want to connect, right?
Okay, I see. Yeah, yeah.
So that's how I actually don't know how it happens, but I imagine that's how it happened. Like two professionals, and let's say in the same company or they're in the same field, they happen to meet up. They realize in the same area. They're like, you know what? Why don't we just meet for some coffee and just chat about like our work?
So, San, are you gonna hop on LinkedIn and find a girl?
I mean, I'm already on LinkedIn, but
Like, is that your new dating site?
I mean, I won't lie. Like, if let's say I happen to be in that position, when I actually, because I don't see myself using LinkedIn the way it's supposed to be used until a few months from now.
So, like, what's the real way you think it should be used?
Oh no, you can
Like
use
the way I was talking about it, or like the dating way?
I think it can be used either way you want.
Okay,
because
okay, keep going.
LinkedIn, like people, like LinkedIn is a very powerful site for like connect. Like it's designed to connect to people. And of course, the underlying thing is, the assumption is you're using it to get jobs and connecting professionals, right? But you can use that in many different ways, right?
Okay.
Now, wouldn't
fair
be
enough.
surprised. Like, here's my thing. Here's a funny thing I'm gonna point in. So the Riz app, right? They're like Riz AI.
Okay.
So what if, right? If people were really smart, maybe I'm giving away business ideas, but what if you added like an AI plugin to LinkedIn that were about rizzing, like just like it finds the perfect connections for you. Like basically you run the plugin, the AI goes and like goes to all your connections and finds the connections of their connections, and based on an algorithm, it like on like a different tab, it shows a list of all the connections that you could make potentially that would be the best potential relationship match for you. And it gives you a prompt that like it reads their entire profile, right? And it gives you a prompt, right, to slide in their DMs in the most professionally Rizzing way possible.
So if this came out, are you doing it?
110%, bro.
110%.
Are you crazy? That app, I think that app would save lives, bro. That app would save lives.
Yeah.
That plugin would save
But
lives.
then I think LinkedIn might be a little too inflated with like
bots.
bots and like
Yeah,
just-
there's always that risk. But like, imagine if that AI, and again, I'm
it
saying,
would take away the professionalism from LinkedIn. For
I mean,
sure.
not really, because again,
I think it potentially could, because if it gets out there on social media, right? Think about how people are. People will hop on that and just start sliding in everybody's DMs with like
that's
some
true.
like craziness.
No, or what can happen is, right? What can happen is, if it's part of LinkedIn, you can make it so that where if you're a guy or a girl, you're like, when you make a profile, let's say like your settings, you can opt in or opt out of being part of that. So like the plugin will only like recommend you people that are also okay with being slid in the DMs.
So you're gonna make this plugin. You're gonna
Honestly,
patent it.
I might actually have to code this. I'm not
Go
gonna lie.
talk
I
to
might
LinkedIn
have
and
to.
be like,
I might have to code
Yo,
this.
like I could get you double.
I might have to code. I'm not gonna
double your
lie.
users on the
This
app.
idea is too good not to be coded. Like I feel like, listen. If you just steal my idea, if some of you steal my idea, at least talk to me about it so we can be like co-partners in this, right? Because I'm the one that came up with it, and it's a great idea.
So you're a genius.
So it's basically linked
You're him.
linked Riz.
Linked Riz.
Like the plugin is gonna be called Linked Riz.
All right.
That's the
All right.
craziest name, Linked
All
Riz.
right. Linked Riz. Linked Riz, guys. 2025
Linked Riz, bro.
Coming out.
That's gonna be my like on my portfolio for to get a job. Number one thing, Linked Riz.
Linked Riz.
And
Imagine.
trust me,
Imagine.
I get so many jobs with that.
Imagine like half these LinkedIn users hop on, right? They click on your profile, founder of Linked Riz. And these guys are all on LinkedIn
No.
for Linked Riz.
You know how LinkedIn has like first, second, third for the connections?
Okay.
For Linked Riz, I'll be like the king. Like I'll be at the top. Because I'm the one that made Linked Riz. So I have like everyone like a MLM. Like I'm at the top. and like everyone else. I'm just kidding. I won't do that. That takes away the point of the app.
Here's my logic, right? Like, I'm not gonna lie. If you want an online couple, then you use Riz, like Riz AI, right? I'm gonna fully divert this away from LinkedIn. Riz AI in general, right? Like, I feel like it's just taking away game like that people could think of on their own.
Yeah, I agree.
But
with
let's
you.
say, let's
I
say,
agree
right?
with you,
Let's say,
kind
like,
of.
let's say you get a date from Riz AI. Like, you online and you in person is gonna be completely different because Riz AI is not gonna be there for you when you're, across the table from someone else having a dinner or something. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, actually, I think Riz AI. To be honest, you bring up a good point. I think honestly, it's for hookups. Like, if you're Riz AIing into a relationship, that girl has to be okay with knowing that that initial interaction you did to slide her DMs was a Riz AI app.
Like, imagine like she says something, right? You pause for a second, you pull out your phone, hop on Riz AI, you put in whatever she said, and you just respond with whatever Riz AI. Like, imagine like you're sitting across the table from me and I did that. Like, what are you doing?
I mean, okay, so I'll actually counter you. So we're in an age of a technological revolution with AI. It's pretty soon where you can solve that problem by the Neuralink with Elon Musk. You can upload Riz AI to the Neuralink, and that way, in real time, they're able to just understand what to say. Like you'll have like a voice in your head that'll tell you what to say, and then you say it. Like, you know how crazy that is. Like Neuralink will be like, and it'll be called NeuroRiz. NeuroRiz.
So we got linked.
And no one will know if you actually have that.
We got linked Riz, NeuroRiz, and both of them
I
are
might
by.
have to be I'm the
You're
founder
the Riz
of,
God.
I might not be the founder of Riz AI, but I might
Riz
be
God Sion.
but I might be the founder of like branching Riz AI to all these different things. So you know what? That I wonder I guess it's more impressive to have Riz AI in your life where, like, you're walking around, and honestly, this is really good because I just thought of this, and NeuroRiz can be applied to anything, not just like, yeah, let's do one across the girl. You can walk around and just in your head you can think of like, hey, NeuroRiz, by the way, there's this hot girl over there that I want to approach, but how do I do it? And it'll analyze the situation. It'll tell you how to do it.
It'll be like you'd have to pause with the while it's processing.
Yeah,
and you just be like, pick up line, pick up line, pick up line. And you go up, just hit them with the pick.
Hit them with it'll just tell you exactly how to handle that situation. You walk up and you just be like, hey, Pookie Bear, roses are red, violets are blue.
I want to do you.
I'm freaky. What about you?
So you gotta like you gotta like.
No,
All right, you know what? Screw this. Let's change the topic. Drinks. Let's rank drinks. So we got the Canada Dry right here. That's why I'm switching the topic up.
Canada Dry. I was drinking it. Yeah.
What are your favorite pops?
No, okay. So for Americans, that means sodas.
Let's you know what? Let's include the flavors too.
Okay, so my favorite pop soda is that's a good question. All time, it's a vanilla flavored Coke. That's always been my number one favorite thing. But lately, I've been drinking a lot of like just zero beverage drinks, like 0 calories. So I've been drinking Pepsi Zero, Coke Zero. I know yesterday you tried that spice Coke Zero raspberry flavor. It's pretty good.
It was good. Yeah.
It's pretty good. And then
I think that's very like that drink that you have right there.
Yeah, so it's
amazing.
It's a limited offer, Canada Dry raspberry lemonade ginger ale.
Raspberry lemonade
and
ginger ale.
everyone. So I hosted a barbecue at my house yesterday. All our friends came, and this was by far the most popular drink. Everyone wanted it. So like I had I think 12 cans of it yesterday, and right now I have like 3 left. So
I'm gonna have to grab one more. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, but it's a really good drink.
Yeah, it is a great drink, guys. So
and again,
Canada Dry sponsor us if you've seen.
Yeah. We're Canadian, so if you
we're Canadian,
we love to be part of Canada.
We got you up on a podcast.
We love to be part of Team Canada Dry. That would be amazing.
Yes, sir.
So another drink that I think one of our friend, his name is Isaiah. He says that Canada Dry is actually better than Sprite. What do you thought on that? It's a good class of Canada Dry.
I agree. Let me explain why. Okay, if I have a full meal in front of me, and I have a Canada Dry with me, I eat up that meal and I drink Canada Dry. Like I get up there and I feel like amazing, right? Because I think what Canada Dry does, that Sprite doesn't, is like it helps you digest food so much better. And for me, taste wise, it's not really that big of a difference. I'd say Sprite's more sweet, but still, right? Like I don't notice the sweetness that much. And Canada Dry's helped me through like sicknesses when I've been cold. I had a cold, sorry. um, you know, through a lot of things. And I'm not gonna lie, Canada Dry for me is just like superior to Sprite. What do you think?
Um, I think that it can go either way. I mean, like I can see situations where I'd prefer Canada Dry over Sprite, but if I'm being honest, I would pick a Sprite over a Canada Dry
It
most
is staple.
times.
Sprite is
It's
always
staple.
staple. Yeah.
But like Canada Dry has this place, and I think it's honestly evolving because Canada Dry. I don't know if it used to always be one flavor, but now we have more flavors of Canada Dry, and it's fire because we only ever had the ginger ale, but now we have like the ginger ale with like raspberry lemonade. We have other flavors. Canada Dry, it's moving up. Like I feel like I'm not gonna lie, like the ginger ales, like sometimes I feel like on a hot day, like a Canada Dry, I think it's kind of, I feel like it's pretty underrated as a beverage. So
Okay, so I'm gonna pause you there. So sorry, just this idea just came up in mind, right? And I want you guys along are watching this to play along. I'm gonna name you some pops, right? And I want you to give me the best food combination with that pop.
all right,
So like, let's say you have like a Sprite.
Okay.
What are you eating with that Sprite?
Let's Sprite. I'm getting chicken nuggets and fries. That's Sprite.
Chicken nuggets and fries.
Yeah.
A Fruitopia.
Utopia. Ooh.
Strawberry. Like let's
Strawberry
assume it's
Fruitopia?
like the
Strawberry Fruitopia. Damn. What would go good? Strawberry Fruitopia. I'm trying to think. I think low key, if I had chicken and rice, I'd have Strawberry Fruitopia with it. Yeah.
Okay. Coke.
Coke, this is ubiquitous. If you have a classic Coke with you, there's no better food that goes with Coke than a classic American style burger and fries, like a classic one. That is the best drink ever to have a Coke.
This, in my opinion, is a very easy answer for both of us. Orange Fanta.
Orange Fanta. It's pizza.
Yeah. Pizza and orange Fanta is the dirtiest combination.
No, and let's be like very Canada specific. Like pizza is like a very ubiquitous chain in Canada, and they have the golden cans. If you know, you know. Yep. Where it's the cans where normally like the top of it's like, as you can see, it's silvery colored, but pizza a lot of times has the golden tops, the cans. I don't know why, but the golden top cans slap so much harder than the regular ones. So if you're pizza, I'm telling you, top two drinks to have with this, number one, orange Fanta or an tea. You get a cheese pizza with a creamy garlic dip, you have to get an orange Fanta or an tea.
I'm not gonna like screw tea. Orange Fanta with any pizza is just so good. Like, I don't know why, I don't know what it is, but after taking like a couple bites of that pizza and then taking a sip of the Fanta just hits different and the pizza hits different. I don't know why.
Yeah, I agree, fully agree. And I'm not gonna lie, it's making me want to think, we kind of have to get pizza.
Yeah, we gotta get pizza soon.
We gotta get pizza soon with that orange Fanta. Because I'm not gonna lie, we used to go on some pizza runs back in the day, and those are top tier.
Those are vibey.
Top tier pizza runs, man. I actually miss those.
Yeah,
I miss those.
Well, speaking of food combinations, right? Let's end this off with that food combinations point. What do you think are the best food combinations, or not really best? What do you think are some weird food combinations that just taste good? You know, like what have you done that you think is good? Some random food combinations.
What?
So for example, I'd say like a big one that people do is like the McFlurries with fries, right?
Oh yeah, those ones, yeah.
Which are pretty, like, I'm not gonna lie, I've had it. It's pretty good. When you dip the fry in the McFlurry, take a bite, it's like that sweet and saltiness, and it's pretty fire. But yeah, like what else?
I actually have a really unique take on this. It's not really a food, but sometimes when we go to McDonald's, when we get like a Fruitopia Sprite combination drink, what I'll do is, let's say we just played ball. We went to get Don's after. I would take 2 packs of salt and I'd put the salt in the drink. I don't know what it is.
This guy puts salt in his pops.
It tastes good. I don't know why.
You know what it is though? I think it's because after playing like a sport, doing like
electrolytes.
You get that electrolyte.
Yeah, I mean, but I don't know why. Sometimes if I it's specific though. You have to pour the salt over the ice that you have the drink, and you got to shake it up properly, and that's when it tastes. It hits different.
Okay, have you had omelet and ketchup?
I've seen a lot. I've never had it before though.
I've seen it a lot too. I just wanted to know if you had it because it's a very common one. Let us know what you guys think about
in Japan. That's like a most common thing.
Yeah,
omurice in Japan. Yeah. They put ketchup on that, and it's pretty good.
Again, it looks good, right? I think eventually I might have to try it out.
One of my good friends. I'm not gonna. I want to say his name, but I'm not going to. But he puts ketchup on poutine. What is your thoughts on that? What's ketchup on poutine? Ketchup and hot sauce on poutine.
I can see the hot sauce.
Ketchup.
Ketchup's crazy though. I'm not gonna
Ketchup
lie.
is crazy.
Ketchup's
If you're
so
watching
crazy.
this, bro, you're weird, fam. You're weird.
You gotta let me know who that is after. But,
Yeah, what you
but
know.
damn, what the
You're
heck?
weird for that, bro. You know who you are. You're weird.
If you guys put ketchup in your poutine,
You're weird.
we're beefing.
You're actually weird. And for Americans or anyone else that doesn't know what poutine is, it's like you take fries, cheese curds, and gravy. That's what poutine is.
You know what else? You know what is surprisingly like a good dessert? Chocolate pizza.
Chocolate, like you mean
Have
like
you had?
you mean like do you mean like with the cheese and everything, or just
No,
dough
no.
and the dough and the thing?
It's dough, chocolate.
Isn't that just a beaver tail?
Yeah, kind
That's
of.
just a beaver tail. That's just a
Kinda.
beaver tail. Yeah.
But like it's dough. Like they've had chocolate pizzas where I used to work, or like it was like some sweet pizza.
Oh, a slice of fire.
Slice of fire. Yeah,
Ah,
they used to
yeah,
have,
yeah,
like,
yeah. I
those.
do remember seeing that there. Yeah, yeah.
And they had like the Nutella, like a bunch of candies and stuff on it. I tried it. It was actually pretty good. But again, it is like a beaver tail. So it's more like a,
You
I
know,
wouldn't say it's a weird
you
combination.
know what a combination I think tends to work. Well, we've seen that in America they have like waffle and fries. They have like fried chicken with waffle and like maple
Mhm.
syrup. You know what I kind of want to see? I low key kind of want to see cheesecake and pizza. Like you take
What?
you take a slice of cheese pizza, you put a slice of cheesecake on that pizza.
I don't think it would be.
You take another
Oh.
slice of pizza, you put it like on top, upside down, and you just eat it like it's a burger.
Okay, you know what? Maybe, I don't know. I don't think I'd do it.
I would do either, but like if I had like if I got both for free, I would definitely try it out.
Try it out.
Maybe like I'd cut it in half. Like I'd have like a bit of
Yeah.
it. See
Yeah.
because
But-
I wouldn't want to
but,
ruin
like,
it.
Comment down below what you guys like. You know what food combinations, what weird food combinations you guys have, and it's actually good. And maybe next episode we could have them and try them out. You know,
Yeah.
That would be
We
pretty
can
fire.
have something. Yeah,
we could have some of the things you
Yeah.
guys list down in the comments. But yeah, what are we at?
I think well, it's good to wrap this up. But before we go, we just want to say that
Riz AI
Riz AI, if you
or what's it called? What's the new version?
if you're on LinkedIn, so if you're a programmer, right? If you're very smart with handling AI, machine learning, deep learning, neural networks, please hit me up in the DMs, right? Please message me, and I really want to get to work on this link to Riz. I promise
Link
you.
Riz, and what's the other one?
Elon,
Riz and Link Riz.
Elon Musk. Like I know everyone tries to holla at you, but if by some miracle you manage to see this at all, on your For You page, anything, well, please talk to me. And I really, really want to make this happen. Like
Riz and
I'm
Link
telling
Riz.
you, like
Let's go.
Elon Musk, you're very concerned about. Like he is very vocal about how we're actually losing people. Like we're underpopulated in the world. People say he's scared that we don't have enough kids. I will solve that problem with NeuroRiz. Now
Riz.
we're getting guys and girls or whoever. It doesn't even matter. Okay, I don't care. But it doesn't matter who it is. We're gonna get people together and we're gonna get people having kids again.
What's Linked Riz?
Linked Riz and NeuroRiz. All right.
Riz. All right.
See you guys.
Later.